Hello, hello, hello. It's time to be mellow. It's time to be free and happy. Welcome to Stream of Consciousness. What is going on? Yeah. Ooh. All right. Here's the thing. I feel like already restarting, but this is the podcast. Welcome to episode 123. This is my second day in a row podcasting. I'm feeling good. And I'm also feeling like not great. And that's okay. And we're here to do the dang thing. Welcome to my stream. This is my first episode in the closet. I'm hoping that the cars outside on the street are muffled enough. The clothing surrounding me helps my voice not ping around. And I'm also here to talk about everything that I've been thinking after riding the high of the episode yesterday. If you haven't checked that one out, it's a great listen. And in fact, I had a great morning today. I talked with my sister for about an hour, and we haven't chatted in a long time. And then I did a little dashing whilst listening to yesterday's episode. And I have to say, like, I'm already seeing the benefits of having a little bit of distance from the creative process and being able to have something that I feel so intimate with that I'm listening to and that I'm not solely in the creative realm. I'm excited to be uploading clips from the podcast. That's why I'm excited to be more adamant about the video aspect, because recording the podcast, I'm going to be sitting down recording something. I'm going to be somewhere doing it. And even if no one else ever watches the actual podcast on video, the ability for me to recognize, oh, hey Siri, mark down at 45 minutes that there's a clip I want to put on TikTok. And she didn't get that, but that's okay because I already did that and I posted it. Go check out my TikTok at consciouswes. But tonight is the full moon, and I will likely have this recorded by midnight tonight. And so likely if you're listening to this, it is after the full moon. But I think there's an opportunity there's always the opportunity. But right now is a great opportunity to try to hone in on what's the vibrational energy of a lot of the earth, the stars, the frequencies available to us. Oh shit.
1 moment.
Oh shit, she's been recording my whole ass shit. Stop. Okay, so I literally just turned on the vocal Siri mode, and I did it because of what I just said. The ability for me to keep track of something that comes to my mind when I'm in the middle of doing something else, like driving, delivering food for my job. I have a big, gnawing voice that's telling me that this way of approaching the podcast and of creating this content isn't valuable, and that no one fucking cares, and that it's just me creating my own void of me just talking out my ass. And I'm happy about that, because that in and of itself is something that benefits me. And while I don't feel like I'm here solely for my own benefit, that is the centerfold, the centerpiece of why taking on this endeavor, acknowledging my verbal processing mind, and the way that labeling it as the stream of my consciousness. I think in a lot of ways, when we hear stream of consciousness, we hear, oh, you're just talking without thinking. And I think in some case, that's true, because a big part of stream of consciousness is not having the normal social limiters, right? The tamping down or a suppressing of a natural dumping of letting my mind explore. Like, do I not want you to have the opportunity to let your mind explore? Because exploration is inherently about going out to see what you will find. Verbal exploration, my friends, is very possible. And although it may not come as easily to you as it does to me, I think there's value there. And when I look around, or say, when I look back into the past and analyze the ways in which we interact with our own verbal processing, it often doesn't happen to us. We don't create it when we are sitting by ourselves. You know, I grew up with my dad, and my whole life witnessing him kind of have a muttering under his breath while he would be, walking down the stairs, or on the weekends he would be doing yard work, or kind of have household projects, or even just meandering around the home. He was a mutterer. And I remember kind of being like, like witnessing that and seeing it as like, whoa, anyone else see dad? Or feeling like, whoa, I wonder what, whoa, excuse me. Let me take a big swig. You know what? Why don't you take a big swig as well? Let's stay hydrated, folks. Another thing that I feel, and that just came to me, is the idea that I could also say, hey Siri, make a mark that at 7:58 seconds on episode 23, make a mark. The fuck? I want to cut out my gulping.
I don't see an app for that. You'll need to download one.
So I'm still getting used to the verbal clarity, the concise nature of my requests. But once again, this is an aspect of verbal processing that I'm trying out. I think I've always feared, I've feared the use of Siri or a Google Home or Alexa, because there's an idea that, well, I do not like something to be listening to me all the time. And so, as I step closer to my vocation, that's kind of the closest English word to ikigai. 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 I don't want to say it like ikigai, but they really are just syllables to me. And anyway, I want to notice how there is a forced level of present moment that comes when I am taking on a delicate, interesting, probing, exploratory thought process and translating that into words. And in fact, there really isn't a translation from thought to verbal wordage to me. It kind of flows out of me through the words, and the act of saying the word. I mean, it's very hard to analyze, right? Um, you know, I've mentioned this many times before, but the idea that a, most people, if I would say, hey, do a freestyle rap, ready, go. Hey, brother, let me see. One another, we should be free. Focus on the things that matter. Put your pancakes in your batter. Like that's kind of the general feeling, and that anything more intricate than that, anything much longer than that, is very intimidating to a lot of us who have never tried to freestyle rap, right? And there's, through my my fluency in freestyle rapping, through many hundreds of hours of practice, that unbeknownst to me, just through my passion and desire and love of the process, I have trained my brain to kind of, in the same way that it's like, if you imagine a small creek in front of you, and there's like a bunch of kind of like stepping stones, like small little stones, and they're scattered all over, and you see your friend next to you, and you're like, all right, who wants to go? And they're like, I'll go. And they just go, I'm on the other side. And you're like, what? Where if you've never hopped on rocks across a creek, and many of them are different sizes, some of them are a little bit wet, some of them have moss, some of them have a big gap between, some have a small, some you might feel like you want to land on both feet, and then when you land, then you're going to look at, okay, which one should I go to next? And you see your friend in front of you who just literally went hop 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 on the other side, and like, that's fucking intimidating, right? That's someone looking at me and being like, how the fuck did you just create a song and you never messed up, right? Or that all of that made sense, right? And that's just simply it. It's the act of, when we're coming up to something that we are not accustomed to, whether we've never done it, or we're just not confident in our abilities, or we're intimidated by the new environment we find ourselves in trying to tackle this task, I think that what we immediately want to do is say, okay, let's break this down into small, manageable chunks, right? That's like a good way of approaching hard things. It's to say, okay, I can make it to that little stone. Okay, now where do I gauge my abilities, and how can I mentally project the most, the highest probability of success on my next little hop? And when you fast forward to jumping across, hundreds of different creeks, thousands of different stones, all of a sudden, when you're approaching a new thing where it's like, the person who's well versed in stone hopping didn't check out the map of these stones beforehand. So it's not like this person has planned better than you. Where I think sometimes when there's something like hiking, or backpacking or camping, that's a type of thing where you could say, okay, someone who's camped 100 times knows how to set up the tent. They know what they need. They remember to bring a trash bag. They remember to bring the tarp. They remember blah, 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 blah. remember to bring all the waters. And if you've never been camping before, you don't have the ability to remember, you don't have the memories to help you in that planning. So everything that you're doing is coming from a blank projected future into being like, okay, the forest at the campsite, what will I need? And you could say sleeping bag, my hiking shoes. You might not think that you're going to want to have your sandals at the campsite, so you could take off your shoes and socks when you get back because your feet are all sweaty. And then in the cold of night, you're going to be able to put on your warm, fluffy socks. I hear camping, and I just hear hiking shoes because I know we're going to hike. And so the expert stone hopper hasn't done that. Well, I guess in a way they have, right? I remember what my memories of these other streams have been. So I feel more embodied in what my body is capable of, in what types of stones are good for landing, which type of stones are good for 2 feet jumps, which type of stones are just a pup pup and just a moving past it and moving forward. I guess I kind of lost my point about not having a map. I mean, I guess even a new campsite, you don't have a map of a place that you haven't been to yet. Oftentimes, sometimes you might. But back to the stone hopping, it's that you know that you're not just looking at the first jump, right? I'm not just here saying to myself, okay, guys, welcome to the podcast. What gives you the greatest sense of belonging? I'm not feeling like I have to look at the thing and say, first one first. It's kind of like an expanding of the periphery into a recognizable a pattern recognition machine that isn't mapping out the 12 hops to get across. I'm looking at the first 3, the first 2, the first 5 steps. I'm not putting that in stone that that's what I must do, but I'm just saying, and here's the thing, right? Here's the freestyle is I step on one, there is a awareness of how's my balance, how's my traction, where is my momentum leading me. Next step over here, there's the big one. I want to lean this way so that I don't fall to my right side, but I want to put my weight onto my right foot so that I can quickly spring off to the big one. And there's I'm really talking myself in circles here. I really have to say, I had a double espresso shot oat milk latte today. And it feels like I took a fucking Adderall, bro. I've been off coffee for maybe like a week or so, and that has hit me like a ton of bricks. There is a vibratory upper feeling, and I shit my pants afterwards into the toilet. And yeah, I have ADHD, and I was once prescribed Vyvanse, an Adderall-like stimulant, and it was a similar thing where it was hard for me to even recognize what the potential benefits were, hard for me to recognize how my brain shifted because my body was just overwhelmed with the like meth-like quality of that. And also caffeine on an empty stomach. I'll give you that. Even so, I am recognizing how much I have avoided being in tune with my body over the years, right? Because I think to myself, well, when I used to wake and bake all the time, having a cold brew every morning, like, leveled me out. It was like the feeling of, let me just do a lot of the shit and let me even it out, and then I'm high, but let me get caffeinated and then I feel normal, but then I'm craving high and then I have a crash and then I want another drink, another coffee, and I developed the love for having that delicious coffee flavored beverage. And I recognize that the sipability of that is what I actually crave. And it's not to experience the feeling of coffee waking up, if we want to call it that, my body in the morning or any time of day. And that when I'm not chasing a THC high, that puts me into a clearer state of awareness that allows me to see, oh yeah, I'm not chasing any type of change to my consciousness right now, but I'm accustomed to having the sipability. That's why I'm kind of on the reevaluating and trying to wean myself off of hitting my nicotine vape. And I think that was something that I started, you know, 6 months into quarantine. And it's something I'm not proud of, but as I address my relationship with weed, and it's very simple, it's just there was an addictive quality to it where I was reaching for it even when I consciously was saying to myself, I don't want to be high right now. And I still would do it. And so that is a strong enough indicator that I need to pump the brakes on that shit if I want to, and I do. So there, that is what it is. Woo! Like I said, bro, I feel like I'm off the chain on this coffee, boy. Yeah, 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 oh, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, oh. All right. So I teased this earlier, but I want to talk a little bit about what we're talking about tonight's super full moon, the last super moon of the year. It is meant to expand big picture views, bang bang, and bring people together over a common cause. Questions to reflect on during this time. What gives you the greatest sense of belonging? I think here we have, all right, let's do this one. Here we have a great question, and I just want to read these other questions. How has community enhanced your life? How can you integrate your authentic self into your contributions in the world? Can you use the things you are healing from as fuel on your journey? God, all of these, we're gonna dive in. And how can you inspire those around you while also creating space for others who feel empowered to do so as well? Dear friends, these are incredible questions. I'm excited to dive in. Question number one: what gives you the greatest sense of belonging? Pardon. For me, the first thing that comes to mind is my experience, my 4.5 years in my college concert choir, semi-professional choral ensemble with about 70 to 80 members, and a lot of performances, a week-long tour every year, and then we did one, 6 week, 4 5 week tour throughout Europe, just singing and singing, and the sense of belonging when during a performance, and oftentimes even during rehearsal, having these tens of people all around me, most people having a different part, singing something different than me, different words, different notes, different, same words, but perhaps at different times. Perhaps the sopranos have the melody and I'm just singing oohs and ahs, whatever it may be. And locking in to the conductor and basically like handing my consciousness over to this collective endeavor to say, Dr. Nelson, here you go. For the next 30 minutes or whatever it may be, I'm going to use my current knowledge and my memorization of this material to help aid in the completion and the what's the word? The diving into these songs that you draw out from us, right? It's like having previously done the work to say, I know that song. I know every note I'm supposed to sing. I know when I'm supposed to be quiet and when I'm supposed to be loud. And I've internalized that. And then at the drop of the baton, like letting yourself become bigger than you are as an individual, right? I think perhaps a lot of people experience that on sports teams too. Like imagining being like an offensive lineman on a football team, and you're like, what's the play? Okay, that means I'm supposed to, right when he says hike, I'm supposed to block this guy and push to the right because the running back's going to come this way. And that's like, you are handing over your autonomy because you've memorized what your role is for this specific song, for this specific play, right? Volleyball, boom. All of a sudden, there's no pre-plan put in place. It is about response. Badminton, right? Like you hand over your consciousness to the task at hand. So when we zoom out from these individual experiences, coming into a collective, what type of collective are we going to create now? Or, what type of collective am I going to create now? I feel immense belonging in my intimate partnership and relationship with Lane, my partner. I feel like I belong right where I am in the way that we interact and in the way that we love each other. And I imagine oftentimes, even though I hate the military, you join the military, you become a part of your sect, you have your troop, and you belong there. You get to know everyone. You go out. I remember last year when actually May 1st of 2021, when I started my 35 days in a row of podcasting. It was because I had listened to this, I forget his name, this ex-military guy who was talking about, the process of like being like, they tell us what to go do, being in Afghanistan or whatever, like whatever types of, conceptually fucked up shit at becoming the hands of our capitalist corporate reach into for our own commercial benefits and all this stupid fucking shit, whatever, trying to democratize the world, but actually that's the propaganda that we use to go in and seize resources that we want, and that's colonialism, right? But whatever about that. But hearing this military guy say, like, in those situations, you don't really have the space to think about, should we really be going into this warehouse, killing everyone we see because the commander said that everyone here is bad, you know? But instead, what you have the space to do is to recognize, like, I'm going into this warehouse with my family, with my troop, with my squad, with my closest friends. And the only way that we are going to get out of there alive is if we kill everyone or we complete the objective of the group. And that driving force of being like, I belong with these people. They are my top priority. And what we want to do is get home safe with every single one of us alive and well. And to be able in those moments to say, the fastest way to do that is to complete the mission however we're told it's supposed to be completed. Now, I know to me, this is a very fucked up analogy because it's like, I immediately want to go in and be like, why would you ever do that, bro? There's a lot of reasons. We end up in situations that we don't want to end up. And the choices that are available to us are never good or may not be good, But that's the thing. Like, what is my point? Am I answering this question? What gives you the greatest sense of belonging? It's when we have a shared objective and we each confidently show up in our roles to help lead us all towards that objective. So I think it's up to me now to figure out, what is my new objective? For a lot of my life, my objective has been have a fucking good ass time. I remember my senior year of high school, I was smoking with one of my friends who had come back for like winter break after being in college. And she was like, yo, what do you think you want to do? Or, like, what do you want to major in when you go to college next year? And I was like, I don't know, dude. Stoned as fuck. Like, I just want to fucking get some job and just get stoned all day. And even though I did go to college, that was basically where I allowed my priorities to end up. In a way, it didn't feel as much like a conscious choice to say, I don't want to think about my future. It was more just like a small type of bubble around how I feel today. And I think for a lot of my life, it was intimidating and it was like me having to answer someone else's question about what I wanted to do. I became less inclined to want to do something big with my life the more that my mother asked me what I wanted to do. And I think I've taken that rebellion, that feeling like, I don't want to do what you tell me to do because you fucking told me that you wanted me to do that. And I don't want you to fucking control me, mom, And so now I see how I bring that not personality, but that rebel like tantrum, like being like, uh-uh. Even when Lane is trying to advise me or trying to say something like, well, what are you feeling right now? Because I get like this. I was like this earlier, just kind of like, ugh, frustrated. And I get very embarrassed by how small of a thing can push me into that state of mind. That state of mind where I'm just like, I kind of zip my lips and I feel like I just want to pout. And that's okay. But for me, what I've learned throughout my life is that that's a wall. That is slapping someone with silence. That is just drawing a line to say nope. And it's not really about the other person, right? It's not really about the fact that my mom, when I was 18, was like, Wes, you should get into communications and radio and TV. And I was like, oh, Mom, I'm just going to study elementary ed because I thought that would be easy. And here I am, picking up my microphone, getting myself on screen, getting more accustomed with my personality on camera, allowing myself to flow, allowing myself to figure out what type of story am I trying to tell? What type of commentary on life am I thinking about, and how can I express that in a way that others might be able to benefit from this self-analysis as well, right? There's a lot of old shit that I'm carrying around with me, you know? And there's this voice in my head that's saying, damn it, I wish my mom wouldn't have told me to do radio because then maybe I would have done it. But in the reality, it wasn't about her. It was me being averse to work. I prided myself on being able to get a B in a class where I felt like I barely tried. I think, I've surely said this before. But like project that self-image, that idea about how smart I am, how capable I am, and project that onto this reality right now. I'm almost 30. I feel like I've never had a job that I liked in my life. And that may be because I never tried. I've never really tried. I've enjoyed being able to be like, I did the bare minimum and I hardly even tried. Yeah, Wes's brand. Follow me, guys, and learn how to do the bare minimum and still have a life that you don't even really like. What type of skills am I interested in then? You know? What type of ideas about myself can I push on and inspect and break down to be like, that's not who I am. I am not bound by how I coped with the academic rigor of my high school classes. I'm not that person anymore. I have so much more life experience. I have dealt with a lot of tougher things. There is surely a hell of a lot more on my plate, and I'm handling it. And so I'm met with the fact that I don't feel proud of where I am right now. And that's embarrassing. And I don't really think about this a lot, but I do have this image of most of the people that I know. I think that they are proud of where they're at. Whether it be all my friends who are married, have kids, a couple of my good friends just are lawyers, graduated law school, people living their dreams, people having their families, people. But again, what is my actual experience of a lot of those people? It is what I see on Facebook and Instagram. Because my life looks fucking awesome to someone who is not living my life. I think, right? It doesn't matter what someone else thinks about me. It matters how I think about myself. That is important. That is really hard to acknowledge. And now I feel pressure. Now I feel like, damn, I really got to love myself. I really got to let go of my self-judgment about what could have been, what I should have been doing, how I could have avoided all my student debt, how I could have, should have, would have, wish I would have, crap, why'd I do this? Here I am and I hate it. None of that stuff is real. It's just fear. It's fear just bouncing around. And when that fear is bouncing around, what's the most comfortable thing to do? Time for bed. Last night I got home. It was late. My roommates were watching Survivor in the living room. I popped in a couple of Trader Joe's hash brown frozen patties, slathered them up with vegan buffalo dip, put them in the air fryer, had a delicious, crispy, spicy, creamy snack, uploaded my podcast, added in the intro, messed with the audio a little bit, exported it, uploaded it, write it out, and by golly, I felt awesome. And it is such a rarity that I'm running through the finish line. And then like as bedtime approaches, you know, I'm usually exhausted. I'm usually like, oh. And it's okay to be exhausted. I might be exhausted tonight, right? We don't have to be finding out or acknowledging how we feel one day and saying how much we liked it and then trying to hold ourselves to that standard. I'm recording again today, but if I don't want to, I won't record tomorrow. And I know I'm talking this shit out, but it's really very helpful. So I never answered the question. The greatest sense of belonging. It's when I let down my barriers. When I let other people see who I really am. When I show my queerness, when I show my goofiness, when I show my ness, right? Like when I talk about what my dream is, when I say, hey, I'm gonna fucking help people with my voice, with my personality, with my experiences and my ability to put together an interesting message and to help highlight some of the stuff that we're all experiencing, even though a lot of us don't know how to talk about it. I will help us. There's a big part of me that feels afraid to dream that big. Well, guess what? I'm allowed to change my mind. I'm allowed to make a new decision. I'm allowed to do something different. But if I'm so afraid that someone would say, whoa, look at Wes. He said he was going to be a podcaster, and look at him now working at Jiffy Lube, or some fucking fake ass scenario. Again, it's the classic limiting belief of, I'm afraid I'm going to fail, so I'm not going to try. And by not trying, you are failing. I want failure because the presence of failure means the presence of trying. And there is a lot of value in trying. My greatest sense of belonging is when I'm around people who know and who I can show that I'm trying something. I'm trying to make a delicious meal. I'm trying to make my body feel better. I'm trying to get my voice out there. I'm trying to build a community around conscious living, conscious talking, around conscious Wes. This is a rebrand. This is my shit. No one else is in charge except me. And I like where I'm at. And that doesn't mean that I have to deny all the things that are stressful to me, all the money troubles, all of the, feeling like, gosh, I don't have as many skills as I want right now. But I'm building them, and I like to be building them. Thank you for listening. As always, hit me up on Instagram, Conscious Wes, or we have the Stream of Conscious Wes Instagram, which I still don't really know how I want to incorporate that into the content of it all. But I'm figuring that out. I very well may post my my podcast clips onto the Stream of Conscious Wes Instagram, so go ahead and give that a follow if you want. As always, hit me up for a tarot reading if that's something you'd be interested in. I've been wanting an excuse to get back into it. I haven't picked up my deck of cards in a while, so I certainly don't need you to help me do that, but it would be a great reason for me to feel called to the tarot sphere. I think you might already know the delicious suggestion of the day is Trader Joe's vegan buffalo dip atop Trader Joe's frozen hash brown patties. Put them in the oven or the air fryer or the toaster oven. Pop them out when they're crispy and when the buffalo dip on top has started to brown. I trust that you will not be disappointed. Feel free to let me know any delicious vegan suggestions that are a part of your life. I'd love to shout them out on the podcast after I give them a try. As always, go over to YouTube, check out my Wordle videos, my video podcasts, like and subscribe over there. We can start building some momentum on the YouTube front. And don't forget, after all, to be your conscious best. Peace, love, and drugs. The drugs of your choosing, if you want. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Love you. Yo, what's up? We're back. And at the same time, we never left, but we hesitate every time we step into a new place. But yet, we just gotta work through that pain, cause the fear don't exist. It is a figment, imagination, notori, intigness, antithesis. All these things that we spit when we are wondering, why is the pig pen a pigsty? Oh my, we fly. These themes come back like I never left. Red eye flight to come and meet me. Look into the sun's eyes. Sun guy, that's my life. And make the sun cry. Weep tears, but it ain't sadness. It is the years of ramping up our creativity to be ready for each other when we swoon and collaborate. Finally, we will anticipate each other's brains, the steps we take, the energy that we will make. Togetherness is all we need, and individuality is seen through the eyes of the love that we create when we finally enjoy each other's company. Integrity will grow. Low blows are a thing of the past, and my last inhibitions are in the trash, because we throw away what doesn't serve another day, cause today is the only day where we will win. Winter comes, but not here. I will bask in the sun for a light year when I figure out how I can speak while I hear. Listening intentionally is the thing that will create the next line that I spit. The divine and less of this makes me feel like I'm finding my voice here on the track now. Just the sun's peeking out through the clouds. Now's the time for us to allow another one into the presence, babe. B-A-B-E. Each of our days comes clean. Freedom through love weeds out the integral process of brick building. These hills have been climbing, no rewinding. If we need a 4x4, then we rent one or we buy them. But we keep moving and we do not stop. We do not look ahead and fear and hesitate and wish, oh, why wouldn't the path ahead of us have been a little bit easier? Can you look at this rocky terrain and say, golly, I think we got this. I know we got this. We got this. Let's go. Ooh.